Hey guys, Patrick here, and today I'm going to talk about two rods, the Maxcatch Extreme 7 weight and 8 weight 10-foot rods. These are two rods that I've owned over a year and a half, and yes, so anyway, I'm going to talk a bit about them, a little bit about their history, how I acquired them, and then talk a bit about how I use them, a little bit of technical data later on within weights, just to compare the two rods, and just a little bit of what I do with both the rods, and how the rods are very similar to each other, and how they're also very different, to each other. Alright, so I acquired my first 8-foot, 10-foot Maxcatch Extreme rod in late 2022. Unfortunately, that rod broke, and in about mid 2000, I think it was April 2023 thereabouts, and at that time I wanted to replace the 8-weight 10-foot rod, but the 8-weight 10-foot rod was not available, and so I got the next big thing that was closest to it, the 7-weight 10-foot rod, and it is one of my favorite rods, to be honest with you. My original plan was, when I bought the 8-weight 10-foot rod, is that I would buy the Maxcatch Extreme 6-weight 9.5-foot rod, and in such a way I would have a rod system. I also own the Maxcatch Extreme 4-weight 9-foot rod, which I don't have with me now, but I originally wanted that sort of system, the 8-foot 10-foot, and then the 6-foot 9.5-foot, and then the 4-foot 9-foot rod, but I've got the 7-weight and I've stuck with it. So let's get into the similarities between the rod. Obviously there are similarities between these rods. They've got a lot of power. They are very fast action rods. I would describe the rod, it's by no means the fastest action rod, in my opinion. There's still quite a bit of flex in these rods. It's not a super fast rod, but what I can say about these rods is that they are good. They're good budget rods, and for their price range. I think, I'm not too sure about the prices, anywhere between 900, I think, thereabouts, and I paid for these rods then. Okay, so let me talk about the use of these rods. Where do I use them? Well, I fish the Orange River here in South Africa, and 90% of the time I fish under 40 feet. I do have the occasional cast of occasional 60-foot plus cast, and I have casted both rods 80-foot plus. But you've got to have very favorable conditions for that, and your timing has to be spot on, very spot on. So yeah, so just bear that in mind if you want to make wrong casts with these rods, especially in the wind. 10-foot rod format with these sort of rods, wind is not your friend. If you're going to go fishing and you know you're going to get wind and they need some sort of degree of accuracy within let's say a 60-foot range, rather take a regular 9-foot rod with you. Yes, okay. I also use it as a heavy duty nymphing rod. That is meaning taking dead drifting the likes of streamers, jigs, heavy bug jigs, if you can call it that, big flies. And so a lot of people see here in South Africa, people slapping the fly down and catching barbel like that. Sometimes you need a more subtle approach towards barbel, with quite a big strike indicator. I don't have them with me now, but I mean basically a 25 centimeter indicator of some sorts. I have the polyester type or the foam type that get used in conventional angling, and I just basically poke a hole through the polyester ball if you want it, and then I just put a stick through it. You can use a toothpick or whatever. I actually use these suckers, these lollipop handles, those plastic ones, and I use that to hold where I want it. And then I take, like for example, the streamers, medium-sized streamers and stuff, and then I dead drift them. That is over. Catching catfish in South Africa is not always slapping a fly on top of the water. I also use it for popping for catfish, both rods. So I use both rods for popping for catfish. I use a wine cork with 6mm beads on either end, and then I've got a piece of 35-pound nylon going through to very heavy swivels, and in such a way I just attach it to my leader, and then I attach whatever amount of tippet I need from that. So just to let you know, that's how I use them. And then I talk about let's say ultra heavy duty nymphing, if you want to call it that way. Alright, that's good. So and then I'll talk a bit about what fly lines I use with these rods. I use 6-weight and 7-weight lines with these rods, although 8-weight and 9-weight lines would be more ideal. Yet again, I prefer the 7-weight and the 6-weight lines because I do target grass carp. If I'm specifically going to target grass carp, I use the 6-weight line with these rods, and these rods are excellent at doing the jobs. Just dabbing, putting flies within about 20 to 40 feet when you're trying to catch these grass carp, and then they work very well. That extra, that 10-foot length really helps you with that. So yeah, So anyway, so that's over. So let's just get into a bit more. So I'm just going to talk a bit more about these rods. These rods both can throw heavy flies. Obviously the 8-weight handles the heavier flies better, but I would say flies I tie are normally, the streamers that I tie are normally range anywhere between 1 gram and 1.5 grams. The larger variety or the heavier variety doesn't necessarily mean that it's a large streamer, but what I'll typically do is with the heavier, I'll have, for example, a tungsten 4.6 millimeter tungsten countersunk bead with like about 15 wraps of 0.5 lead wire, and then with all the other materials that come with it, I mean, it comes to about anywhere between 1 gram, 1.5 grams. I have thrown heavier flies than that, to about the 2.3 gram, but yeah, that's getting into the 10 weight, 12 weight realm of fly fishing, just to deal with the weight of those flies. These rods can do it, but certainly not at 60 foot or 80 foot. Certainly not at those distances. And even at 40 foot for those very heavy 2 gram plus streamers and bugs, you've got to be careful that you don't hook yourself in the back or something. Yet again, you've got to make sure about your timing and all of that sort of thing when you're casting. Right, so that is over. So yeah, build quality. Well, the quality is a whole lot better than some other junk around, to be honest with you. But the components are quite good. Let's just see here. I don't know if you can see here. Those are the stripper guides of the 8-weight. Yeah. That's there. Again. Let's just see if we can get that in focus. Yeah, that's what my that's what my top guide looks like on my tip of the 8-weight. That's after about, what, a year of use. Let me see. There's the tip. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's after, I got this in April 2000. This is after about, almost 2 years of use. But yeah, so anyway. The guides are of good quality. I've heard people say that the Premier rod range has got better quality components and a better rod, but I bought these Maxcatch Extreme rods specifically for this purpose, and I didn't want to haul out big bucks for like a Reddington. I think it's the Reddington Vice, if I remember correctly, that has also a 10 foot rod range. I think it's 8 to 10 weight and above, if I remember correctly. Yes, these rods have a very nice reel seat, handle and fighting butt. Yeah, this is what the 7 weight. This is about the quality of the cork on the 7 weight. Nice reel seat, locking with locking nuts, very nice. Very good quality washer. I don't know if you can see here. I'm just gonna I don't know if you can see that washer there. Yeah, very nice washer. It's not fraying, it's not breaking apart or anything like that. So some of the cheaper rods, just put a plastic washer in there and it just breaks apart. On some other rods that I've owned, it has the 2024 rod, which I'll talk a bit about now. The quality of the cork seems a bit better than the 2023 7 weight. Yet again, got the real seat with the locking nuts. Very nice. Also, these rods have a nice hook keeper. I like that it's very small and it's out of the way. Some of the budget rods have humongous hook keepers and they just get in the way and your fly line just hooks on them and etc. etc. But I've never had any hassles with these. Nice and small. Alright. So I'm going to just give some technical information on these rods now. And so the 7 weight 10 foot is 128.14 grams. My first 8 foot 10 foot rod that I got was 133.89 grams. Sorry, that's the 2024 model. That's the second. So the 133.89 grams is the 2024 model, and then my 2022 model 8 foot 10 foot rod is 133 grams, 0.73 grams. So there's not much difference there. I just want to make a note of something that I picked up when I got my replacement rod in I think it was January 2024. When I weighed the different sections of rods just to see out of interest what they were, basically what Maxcatch did was the first one. Now, in generally, the tip of these Maxcatch rods are quite heavy. I would describe them as mid-tipish, if you can call it that. And then it goes into a solid piece here. There's still some flex in the second piece, but once you get down to the bottom middle section of the rod, this is quite rigid. What I found was that they had removed 2 grams, about plus minus 2 grams, from the butt section and the tip section, and put it into the 2 middle sections. What that has done is it's made my 2024 8 weight 10 foot rod much more responsive than the 2022 model. The 2022 model tip weighed in at 7.23 grams, and this one is 6.94 grams. Now that's quite a bit of material they took out of here. But anyway, what it has done is it's made this tip much more sensitive, which I understand is not everybody's cup of tea, but I love it. I like the sensitivity, the extra sensitivity that this tip has got, compared to the other tip of the 2022 8-foot, 10-foot rod that I had, that I've still got, but it's in pieces. Alright, an interesting fact is that here's the tip of the 7-weight 10-foot rod, and it is 6.89 grams, but it's a little bit more flexible than the 8-foot tip. So despite the fact that that there's a 0.05 grams between the two tips, between the two rods, you still get, this tip is a bit stiffer than the 7-weight tip. So Maxcatch have done something there, but anyway, I'm not complaining about the increased sensitivity. Yeah, so anyways, let's just get down to, yeah. So, what do these rods offer you? They offer you a very powerful, they are very powerful rods. One thing you've got to be aware of with these rods is that these rods lock out very quickly. What I mean by lockout is when you are fighting a fish or bending the rod gets to its maximum point where it can't bend anymore, and it wants to, let's say, the rod wants to break, or you get the feel that the rod wants to break. That is what I call lockout. These rods reach there very quickly. So if you are using these rods with lighter tippet, then you're going to have to back off or drag a bit to avoid breaking your tippet. I have broken off, I've been broken off, clean off, on 8-pound tippet on my 7-weight 10-foot rod, on off of a 3mm tippet rod, broken clean off. So yes, so I just want to also discuss what tippets I use. The 7-weight is quite capable of handling a variety of flies, including size 14, caddis, more standard shank hooks. I did catch one of my largest yellowfish on this 7-weight 10-foot rod with 6-pound or 4x 6-pound tippet with a size 14 fly. That is what the 7-weight 10-foot is capable. Something I wouldn't be comfortable doing with the 8-weight 10-foot. So I use, with the 7-weight, I use anywhere from 8-pound to 12-pound tippet, depending on conditions and what I'm doing with it. And if I really have to go down to 6-pound, I can go down to 6-pound. But as I said, not something I would do with the 8-weight. It's just simply too rigid. I would consider 8-pound a minimum tippet with the 8-weight. Yet again, going all the way up to £20 tippet if I need to. But £20 is, I haven't used £20 in a long time. I've always used £8 to £15, as I say, depending what I'm doing and the conditions. These rods are very good rods if you're in the market for a budget long rod that you want to use for just dabbing around, catching grass carp, bass, common carp. Yeah, they're very nice. These are not high-end rods, so you're not going to get the performance out of the Reddingtons and all the other higher-end rod makers. So yeah, it's up to you. It's if you want to buy something like this, but these rods have served me very well, and yeah, that is certainly the case. Certainly going to use them a lot in the future. I just wanted to show you guys my popping setup that I was talking about earlier. So this is the swivel. I think it's rated somewhere at 20. I think it's 20 pounds. Could be higher. Then I've got 30-pound line going through the middle of this cork here. I said earlier 6mm bead. This looks more closer to a 5mm bead, but anyway, you can see I've got one bead on this side, and then I've got the one bead on that side, and then another swivel. So basically what I do is I attach my leader to this side, and then I attach my tippet to this side, and then to whatever length I need it. And this is a very nice system. It slides there right up against the bead, and you can pop either way. I use it in either direction. I'm not very fussy. I actually cut the cork off there, bit of a rough cut, but it still works. Some of the flies I use, these are some cheek bugs, if you want to call them that, tied on Daiichi 4699 size 6 jig hooks. These particular flies have got 4mm beads on them. That's tungsten slotted beads. Let's just see. Here's another one. Yeah, that's UTC sparkle that I've tied underneath there. Anyway, this is like almost like a nymph, also tied on that, on the same size 6 Daiichi 4699, yeah, 4699, 4966, I think it is. I'm not too sure of the number, 4966 or 4699, I'm not too sure, but anyway, very heavy duty hook. And I have caught catfish on a little small nymph like this, just to prove that you don't need big flies. Yeah, we've got these are commercially tied flies. These are like minnow patterns. Also use them for largemouth yellowfish, but I've also caught catfish on them. This is a typical streamer, also tied on the Daiichi hooks. This here is, I can only describe as a variant of a half chicken. Very strong hook, about a size 1/0 hook. Yet again, very heavy fly. I was talking about those 1.5, 2 gram flies. This is within that range. If you want to know, that's double. That is wrapped. That is 2 wraps wrapped the whole way around. That's 0.3 lead wire I used on this occasion, but I wrapped it all the way to the back and to the front, just to let you know. Yeah, that's quite a lot of lead. Here's one in black. Here's a little minnow that I tied. Yeah, so that's what I use for catfish on the Orange River. Oh yes, and there's just one last one I want to show you. I've got a couple of these in different various colors. This one is unweighted. The only thing it's got is a chain bead. It's got a whole lot of rubber legs. I've got a whole lot of these things in various different colors and combinations. So yet again, if I had to I just want to compare that size hook there to this Daiichi 4699 size 6 jig, ultra heavy jig hook. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, I don't tie I don't tie ultra heavy. I don't tie on, let's say, very large size hooks, my catfish flies. The other thing I want to talk about is this is a fly line I've been testing for some time for Venture Fly Fishing Specialist, the Maxcatch agency in South Africa. Yeah, I've got this spooled on this Avid 7/8 reel. The basic concept of this fly line is that it's got a longer head and a slightly longer front taper than your average standard forward weight floating line. So yeah, this, as I said, this will be released in the near future, this line, and check out their website, Venture Fly Fishing Specialist, plus a few other lines and other equipment in the pipeline as well. Just want to mention that I'm in no way sponsored by Maxcatch or Venture Fly Fishing, with the exception of the line, of course. But all the other equipment, the rods that I've reviewed and all the other equipment that I've bought from them, I've bought with my own money. Until the next one.